Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. It's a risk-on asset. That's just what crypto is at the moment. I think a lot of the volatility will decrease in it, especially with the top assets over time.
G'day and welcome to another episode of the Collective Shift podcast. I've got Tommy Honan from Swyftx jumping on today. How are you, Tommy?
Hey Benny, how you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for jumping on. Tommy, give us a little rundown of what you're doing at Swyftx and your background in crypto.
Yeah, mate. Swyftx, obviously, crypto exchange in Australia, pretty popular now, thankfully. You know, we've been operating for about 4 years. Yeah, widespread of assets. It's an exchange that has a lot of fans, which is good. We've obviously been doing some things right. Pretty focused on, I guess, providing kind of an unparalleled customer service and being that kind of standard in the customer service scene, as well as being, you know, competitively priced and things like that. We'll maybe get into a bit later, but yeah, in terms of myself, mate, I've been in crypto since about 2014. 13-14 was kind of my season where I bought some Bitcoin for $1,000 and it dropped back to $100. So I was one of those, I guess, guys that immediately got burned and yeah, I've been in the space kind of in and out from 2013-14 up until probably 2017 is when I really jumped in and went pretty heavy. 2016-17, I think a lot of people kind of reignited the interest in crypto when the market's starting to do things that we hadn't seen before, I suppose. So yeah, mate, that's me. Been with Swyftx, you know, since pretty much just after we launched in 2018. And yeah, it's been a wild journey. We went from, you know, a couple of hundred clients to almost 600,000 clients as we're kind of recording this now in the space of those, you know, short enough space of time. Yeah, and employing over 200 people as well, which is really an exciting part of it.
That's awesome, man. How have you seen the Australian crypto scene grow over the last 2 or 3 years? Like, you know, in terms of user growth, volume, like from my perspective, it's just gone absolutely ballistic. So from an exchange perspective, I'm sure you've seen that growth as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to talk to those customer numbers, I suppose, you know, that kind of growth is huge. We're well aware of that. I guess, you know, Aussies do really like their crypto. They're pro investment. Australians tend to have, I guess, some surplus capital, which is always a help. I guess, you know, when we entered the market in 2018, there was like 8 or 9 competitors at the time. You know, we're probably sitting about between number 2 and number 1 at the moment in terms of volume and customer base and things like that. But Aussies, like I said, Aussies love their crypto, but what they love even more is Australian businesses and supporting Australian businesses. And also, I guess the solution that we came to market with really, it was really an easier experience. The user experience was drastically improved from what was currently in the market. So, you know, I like to think that we added to some of the standard improvement that has happened along the space in terms of payments, you know, coming in, verifying your accounts, all these kind of things, pain points that used to exist previous. I mean, when I initially invested in crypto, you had to send money to a dark hole where, you know, there was no verification at the time. It was very sketchy. I'm sure you're well aware of this, and your listeners probably would have heard stories as well. But it's more, yeah, it's just not like that anymore. So the space has really evolved. It's a much easier place to start and get started and learn and get direction, I guess, in the right ways through businesses like ours. And there's plenty of good businesses that do it really well in Australia.
Yeah, awesome. And who are you seeing sign up recently, like in terms of demographic? Have you seen that change? Like, who are you seeing buying crypto at the moment? Is it still the younger generation? I have heard from some exchanges that it's actually a lot older demographic that are coming in and buying. And sort of any patterns or things that you're seeing, you know, your users doing at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, the market cycle generally dictates the demographic quite a bit. Your more sophisticated investors, typically your older demographic of investors are, I guess, they're more experienced. They've seen the ups and downs in other markets. They might have been, you know, might be inclined to do a bit more research, you know, through help with you guys and Collective Shift and other resources. You know, they're kind of willing to spend a bit more time. And I guess they see, you know, market conditions like we've seen recently with you know, Bitcoin is down 60% or something like that from its all-time high. You know, when you see things like that, these kind of investors see opportunity, whereas your younger investors are definitely more about the hype train, getting involved in that. And, you know, nothing wrong with that at the time when they get on. But it's definitely, I guess, some of the trends we're seeing is more about the more opportunistic, more sophisticated, high value investor starting to come to life a little bit more when the market actually is in decline, you know. So I guess, we talk about buying the dips, and, there's all these phrases within crypto, but, you see the likes of Facebook dropping 40% in a couple of days. It really kind of opens up your eyes to, I guess, opportunities within volatility that some people are not comfortable with, and it takes a number of years to get, I'm sure Ben, like, it takes a lot of years to get comfortable with the type of volatility crypto brings. So, that in terms of that, like, that demographic of investor should be a bit more experienced, generally are, and that's just what we're seeing from our side as well, that they're not afraid of a 20%, 30% pullback in a short enough space of time. They're kind of just picturing the opportunity in the future.
What would you say to the retail investors that are scared of that volatility? Some of our newcomers that come into the space, a lot bought in December, November last year, 60K, now we're sitting around 35, 37. What would you say to those newcomers coming in?
Basically, don't panic. It's happened numerous times before. It's, historically, obviously, historic performance is not an indicator, as the disclaimers always say, but at the same time, Bitcoin and a lot of the top cryptos have seen just continuous growth on that longer term time period. So it's all about zooming out, Ben. Like, it's all about, don't invest more than you can afford to lose. It's a risk on asset. That's just what crypto is at the moment. It will gradually, I think a lot of the volatility will decrease in it, especially with the top assets over time. But I guess talking to those investors, you've got to use things like staking, use things like earning on your cryptos, use all these kind of tools, I guess, that certain places will provide. Swyftx, we've got staking available for people, and these kind of things are kind of hedges against what, anything that the market might be doing. You can earn more crypto while it's low. There's just a number of things like that. It's not a case. It's never nice when you buy at the top of the market and no one knows when the top of the market's going to be. But I guess in terms of what we offer, and I know in terms of what you guys offer, is just a kind of a sounding board, a kind of a plateau to say, hey, all right, this is the education. You need to build now on your education in times like this. And more people, I'd say, than not, would actually, when they spend the time in that education piece, they actually realize that, it is a long-term view, and crypto mindset is just so short that's something that if people can start to get their head around changing that in any way at all, it just helps with your comfortability when you're in positions. I'll caveat that by saying, if you're taking big risks in low liquidity assets, and if you're taking a kind of a punt, I guess, or not treating it as an investment, more of a gamble, which some people do, there's a balance. Like, everybody's got their own strategies. Like, those kind of strategies are difficult to explain away. I mean, you've got assets you've invested in that could be down at this stage 85%, right? And the reality is, not every asset is going to come back like Bitcoin or Ethereum or, the rest of these assets. So I guess just being aware of that maybe the next time around, if you've made some mistakes on this cycle, think about, all right, what are the assets that I actually think are going to be a long-term asset, 5-year, 10-year kind of timeframes, and maybe looking at it through a different lens, a bit more of an investigative lens when you're actually, before you invest, not after the fact.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think what we see as well is people spreading their seeds too thinly. Like, they'll go and chase like 30 or 40 or 50 different coins, and like, no way can you stay across what's going on in each asset. So I think having a little bit more conviction in the ones that you like and holding for a longer period rather than trying to spread it across some super high risk stuff. Tommy, where are you placing your capital at the moment? Is there any assets or sectors that you're liking that you think are going to be a good opportunity over the next 12, 24 months and beyond?
Ben, listen, I've made all my mistakes when it comes to the low cap assets. That's part of that education piece from 2014 to where we are today. Definitely more of a safer investor these days, sticking to the kind of the top caps. I'm really big on trying to sweat those assets when I can for in things like DeFi. So I'm always big on DeFi, earning with those assets as you're holding them. If you've made the commitment to invest in crypto, make an extra commitment to find out how you can earn on them, how you can be safe. I know you guys cover a lot of that stuff as well with Collective Shift. But like, it's just smart play. People hold capital in the banks. Well, they shouldn't anymore, I guess, but people still hold capital in the banks when, you're paying out. You used to be able to get term deposits 10 years ago of, 7-10%. It's kind of the same thing, but you're just doing it with your cryptocurrency, and it's a much more juvenile market at this stage. So there's some good percentage returns on offer with certain cryptos through staking, through, like I said, earning on DeFi protocols, and that's a big strategy of mine, especially during these markets. Sometimes you move into a stable coin where you've got good, yield returns. You can earn 20% or so on the likes of Anchor Protocol or, UST and Terra. These kind of strategies are, they don't come without their risk, absolutely. So you have to be aware of the risks. There's other platforms in as well that give you, generate yield. So I think in terms of like where the market's at now, and it's probably one of the next things you're going to ask me is, it's definitely, for me personally, it's a bit of a wait and see at the moment. Definitely keen to be in those. There's a lot of opportunity in the market. A lot of those staking assets I mentioned are down 70-80%. So that's where I'll be putting my research in. All right, which of these assets can I earn at a lower price now, or buy at a lower price that can actually pay me as I'm waiting for them to recover. So that's a big piece of where I guess I'm, in terms of allocating capital. It's always into the dollar cost average as well. Like I'm on a long-term Bitcoin bull and Ethereum bull. So have that weekly kind of dollar cost average strategy where I'm, putting in $100 kind of into each of them, or $50 into each of them, whatever it is, depending on the situation. But yeah, that's kind of where I sit at the moment, and overall, absolutely bullish long term. I mean, we expected a pullback, we needed a pullback. The market has been ballistic for 2 years almost, right? So since the COVID crash, we've been just on hockey sticks up and to the right. So I guess it was definitely warranted, and just kind of assessing at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy thing that happens, and I think again that zooming out piece. Again, zooming back out over the 5-6 year chart, Bitcoin's retraced more than 40-50%, probably 4 or 5 times now. Like it actually is healthy. You get those really dynamic, human psychology is just like things going up and people really pile in, and you get the extra additional lift. And same on the way down, it tends to probably extend both ways, a little bit higher and lower than probably where the base band is. So I think it is a healthy sort of correction. Tommy, in terms of the NFT market, I'm not sure if you spend too much time there. Are you seeing retail investors that predominantly would have maybe invested in some of the altcoins, or even, some of the, Ethereum or top cap coins previously in the old alt seasons? Are you seeing those similar investors, you think, maybe go to the NFT market now and more chasing the hype over in that sector?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely highlight some outflows into the likes of your open seas and things like that from exchange. People will come in and they'll buy Ethereum or whatever the token of choice is for that NFT project. They will come in and grab those and take them out to a DeFi exchange or an NFT platform, like I mentioned. It's definitely a trend we're seeing. It's not I wouldn't say, from our perspective at least, it's a massive trend that we've highlighted, but we're definitely well aware. I mean, we profile our customers, we talk to our customers on a regular basis, and for a number of different reasons. Account activation and just that white glove kind of service that we have at Swyftx, I guess. So we do have much more interaction than a normal exchange. So we ask customers, what are you liking at the moment? What are things that you would like to see on our platform, or what are you using at the moment? And people are more than happy to have those conversations. In terms of the NFTs, I do believe it's a massive opportunity within the market. It has no ceiling. You can do absolutely anything with an NFT that your imagination can provide. We had Raul Paul on our podcast recently for Swyftx, and he was talking about having like these Zoom meetings, having them within the metaverse, and kind of drawing parallels between NFTs and the whole metaverse craze that's going on as well at the moment, and it kind of all plays into the same thing for me when I think about NFTs and the metaverse. And I think there's a lot of really down to earth real life use cases that we are probably right in front of us that we are yet to kind of pick up, I suppose. And it's kind of one of those things, if you can come out with it first, it seems like a no-brainer, and someone will probably make a lot of money off it as well along the way. So there's a lot of that kind of going on. I think from our side we can see bits of it, but I think the NFTs, we don't have a marketplace on Swyftx at the moment, but it's definitely one that we know that users are going to. I'm really excited about the likes of NFTs and sports, like how that might evolve. So the likes of your sporting clubs, like we see it already in the US with the basketball and the football and things like that. So I'm excited to see how that progresses in Australia. And you got people know about NBA Top Shots. These cards and things are worth $5 to $20 million, some of them, right? So it's interesting to see how that whole collectible scene goes. Not to try and put it in a box, but there's music, there's property, there's collectible. Like there's like I said, there's no ceiling on it. So it's really, really interesting. I don't think it's a phase that's going to die. I think it'll probably go down a bit more of a regulated or a bit more of a standard process of being along the way, like as it matures, I guess. So it's only pretty new, right? It's only people have only started talking about it in the last kind of couple of years in the mainstream. So
We'll have to get the
pretty new.
Brisbane Lions across the NFT space, mate. A couple of Brisbane Lions fans here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're very close with the Lions. We got a little sponsorship going with the guy with them. They're yeah, been very good to deal with. Great club, and yeah, I'm sure you'll be happy to come up and watch a game with us at some stage in the year, Matt.
Yeah, definitely. I think it sounds like a good plan. Tommy, just finishing up with Swyftx, I know you guys have got a lot happening there. Is there any, just from an investor standpoint, we've got a few thousand members that would love to probably hear about how Swyftx's products could help them with their portfolio. Any tools, tips, tricks that you guys are building or have done now that could help investors?
Yeah, I guess like I think our biggest strong point is about the fact is the way that we put our customer in the center, and we're very customer centric. We give you, we've got the tools, we've got limit orders, we've got we've got staking, we've got recurring orders, we've got kind of all the things that you would expect to see that really make it easy for you, like to use the exchange, onboarding a fiat, all those kind of standard things now are just so easy. The most important thing with this is it's always easy to put your money into something, but it's hard sometimes to get your money out. So that's something that we've really focused on. With the likes of our staking, I mean, it's a one-click option. So for anyone that doesn't know about like how to stake on chain and through DeFi and things like that, it can be a real pain. I'm sure you're well aware of it too, Ben. Like it can be a real pain to stake. You've got staking periods, unstaking periods, basically where you have to lock up your assets where you can't get access to them. So that's something that we focused on pretty heavily, making it really easy to get your funds in, earning, and then back out and back to your bank if you want. So I guess little things like that. The fact that we do have that customer service aspect where you can actually get on the phone with somebody if you're not sure about it, if you've got questions even about the market. Some people come in and they're like, "What do you think it's going to do?" We try to scale that. It's pretty hard, but but we still have a lot of resource available. Like we've got a podcast like yours. People are very happy to have that everything kind of all in one where you can get your education. We've launched a Swyftx Learn platform in the last couple of weeks as well, so you can actually go in and do little modules for free where you can learn, and that's all part of our service offering. So yeah, definitely kind of similar, I guess, similar kind of mantra to what you guys have in terms of education is always first, and having the customer, the person informed as possible is it's the most important thing. That's where you get safety in an industry that is can be quite risky and volatile.
100%. I think that volatility piece around education. I was speaking to someone this morning that again bought in December, and then they're obviously down 30 or 40%. And when you don't understand what you're buying, you don't know why things are going down, they panicked and they sold, and it just happens time and time again. So I think education is certainly important. Tommy, in terms of when
there's always
so you go.
There always has to be a buyer and a seller in the market, right? Like, so if you're the guy selling out from when you bought in December, there's one of those investors that we talked about earlier, those guys that are opportunistic like ourselves, waiting to jump in and snap up those pristine assets at a bargain essentially, or at a lower price, and layer their investment in that way. So I guess just as an investing, I don't know if you call it a tip, but I guess just as the way I do it anyway is like, if I got $1,000 to invest, I won't ever invest $1,000 in one sitting. Like you layer that investment. It's a dollar cost average, longer term strategy that generally has proven to work over time. And it's not just with crypto; it's with every investment that you might want to do, when you can.
Yeah, I agree. For me personally, I tend to take a percentage of my salary every week and just load it up and just do an automatic buy. It's just a very thoughtless way of getting it done. Tommy, for new investors coming in when they're making a decision on where to buy crypto, again, one of the top questions we get still is like, where should I buy crypto? What are the things you should be asking yourself? And then how would you give tips to an investor to compare the different offerings out there?
Yeah, well, we're really lucky in Australia. We've got a number of really good options. The number one thing for me when you look at an exchange is about support. Like, support for me is everything. If you're well supported, price comes into it obviously as well. If you're matching an exchange one against another, and one has got 5-star support, even if there were a point or two more expensive in the actual trade fee, I'm always going for customer support. I'm not saying that because Swyftx is more expensive. We're mid-market when it comes to pricing. We're not the cheapest. We're not the most expensive by a long way. We're kind of mid-market, but for what you get with our service, the whole rounding of the option that we give is where we think we're, sitting in a pretty good spot. You're looking at your fees, trade fees. You're looking at your spreads. For people that don't know about spreads, it's essentially the difference between a buy price and a sell price. So, if I'm buying over here for $1 and I can only sell straight away after that trade finishes for 90 cents, your spread is 10 cents, right? So just as an easy example. And a lot of exchanges actually have those kind of either baked in with a very low fee, or so you just have to be aware of those kind of things. And it's not really hidden fees as such because it's just the industry standard, but it's more just have a look at the differences in those, match up your exchanges, put 3 or 4 of the exchanges you like together, look at what those spreads are. It's something at Swyftx that we're really tight on. It's something that we actually provide what that spread is up front, so you're not kind of guessing what it is as well. So not many places do that. Something that we'd like to be as transparent as possible, and we always think, being confident, I guess, we always think that our service and our system, our app will win out in the end anyway when it comes to it, even if people don't start with us. So yeah, that's kind of I guess a couple of things to look for when you're looking for an exchange, Ben.
I think that's good, mate. One more question. This is more of a selfish question, Tommy. With the this is from a business perspective, with the introduction of some of the international players coming into Australia, with Crypto.com sponsoring the AFL, you got FTX sort of, trying to buy up stadiums and, some of the more international competitors. How are you guys seeing that in terms of a competitive landscape? I know you guys are scaling internationally. What are you seeing there? Do you think there's enough market for everyone? Do you think there's going to be some exchanges sort of teed off over the next few years with the bigger players, or how are you seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably too many exchanges in Australia. So you might see a bit of a like happens with the superannuation funds. You see a bit of a collaboration between a couple of the smaller ones. They get together and set up bigger ones. That's not something that we would be interested in doing. Thankfully, we've got that growth, a lot of that growth behind us now, which is awesome and lucky for us. We pinch ourselves every day that we're in this position. But I guess in terms of the other major competitors coming in, the Aussie market it just continues to grow in terms of its addressable size. We know Aussies love their crypto. I think that one of the advantages that we have as a business and some of the other Australian companies have as a business is the Aussies do love to back their own. And it's something that, we're involved in sport. You talked about Crypto.com and the AFL. We've taken a major sponsorship for the NRL for the next couple of years. So committed to that demographic, and it's just something that we love and we're involved in as well. Our office looks directly at Suncorp Stadium here in Brisbane as well. So I guess things like that. You're always going to get competitors, Ben. Like, it's just life. You get competitors in. What they do is they work for the consumer. At the end of the day, the consumer gets a cheaper price on fees and spreads and whatever it is. They get more options. It's not going to be a one. You don't want a monopoly, right? Like it happens in the banks at times where you have a monopoly of services, and then it just works out in the end bad. That's why we have royal commissions and these things, right? So, I guess I think you kind of welcome the challenge of new companies coming in, and I guess standalone, we're confident in our service, our product, our team. Very confident that we can stand up against some of the big players. Some of them are obviously way bigger than us, but I think there's things that we have that they don't have as well. So it's going to be good to see how it plays out over the next few years.
Yeah, I agree. The Aussie in a fight, mate, the inner spirit. I think that holds true.
That's it.
Awesome, Tommy. Well, that's been.
You
awesome,
listen to my Irish accent, and you're saying what's going on there. Yeah. I am a citizen. I am a citizen now, so I got my stripes.
As long as you're a Brisbane Lions supporter, mate, I'll support you.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Tommy, very much, mate, for your time. It's been a good chatting, and we'll most likely catch up soon.
Absolutely. All the best. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Tommy.